Welcome to A Parent's Guide to Helping Your Teen Overcome Pornography Addiction, the podcast where we tackle this tough topic with compassion and clarity. I'm your host, Matt Bulkley, and for more than 25 years, beginning in 1998, I have been a psychotherapist working primarily with teens and their families on this issue. And today, we're diving into something that many parents find overwhelming, and that is knowing how to support a teen struggling with pornography addiction. If you've recently discovered that your teen is caught in this cycle, you might be wrestling with worry, confusion, or even guilt. And let me reassure you, you're not alone, and there is hope. I've seen it happen many, many times over the last 25 years. In this episode, we'll explore practical, compassionate steps to guide your teen toward a healthier, more balanced life. So buckle up, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Let's begin with the basics. Pornography addiction in teens often starts with curiosity, which is a natural part of adolescence or even childhood. But all too often, this occurs developmentally too early in life, usually because of exposure to pornography, and can spiral into a way to cope with stress or loneliness or anxiety or a longing for connection. And often, patterns of secrecy, deceit, lying, and living a double life emerge as a peripheral issue, damaging a parent's ability to trust their child. I'm working with a teen and his family right now, wherein he first started viewing pornography at age 6. And while his parents would occasionally find evidence of the viewing and take action to tighten restrictions of his internet use, the extent of his addiction was literally daily use for 10 years. And it's only been recently, in the course of treatment, that it has become known. And this was largely the result of how quickly, as a young child, he became adept at hiding his behaviors from his parents. As the parents look back, they can now recognize many red flags that they simply just didn't realize at the time. In today's digital world, explicit content is just a click away on phones, tablets, or even gaming consoles. This easy access can draw teens in before they realize the impact. Over time, this habit can erode their mental health, their capacity to effectively cope with uncomfortable emotions, their self-esteem, grades, relationships, their views on intimacy, sex, and relationships. Seeing your teen struggle is heartbreaking, but recognizing the issue is the first step to help them heal. You might be wondering, how do I know if this is a real problem for my teen? Well, let's take a look at some warning signs. These can include secretive behaviors like being overly protective of their devices, sneaking around the rules that you've set up for phone, internet, and technology use, figuring out ways to bypass filters, using somebody else's device to access Wi-Fi, having possession of unexplained devices. Many times I've seen parents who have imposed a consequence of losing access to their device, only to find out that the teen has backup devices. Or even more deceitful is when it appears the teen is being effectively monitored on their phone with filters and accountability, but then it's discovered that they have another phone with no restrictions that they have been using for their clandestine pornography use. You might notice them quickly closing tabs when you enter the room, shutting down what they're looking at the phone, hiding extra devices. Other red flags include withdrawing from family events or from friends, preferring isolation over social activities, declining grades, spending excessive time online, especially late at night, which then leads to fatigue, irritability, a lack of energy. You may also see hypersexualized comments or interests creeping in to conversations. You'll see emotional dysregulation, things like snappiness, irritability, mood swings. Over the years, many parents have told me that they can sense a relapse just by how their teen interacts with them and as they get a feel for where their mood is. If these signs sound familiar, then it's time to step in. But how you step in matters. Harsh or a judgmental approach can push your teen further away, deepening their shame or isolation. Instead, approach with empathy and curiosity, remembering that the goal is to create a safe space where they feel supported, not attacked. Let's look at a real example. I worked with a parent, we'll call her Lisa, whose 15-year-old son, Jake, had become distant, was staying up late on his phone, and was irritable and snappy when questioned. Instead of grounding him or confiscating his phone, Lisa chose a gentler approach. She said, Jake, I've noticed you seem stressed lately. Can we talk about what's going on? And that simple, non judgmental question opened a door for Jake to share his struggles. And it wasn't an instant fix, but it built trust and it got the ball rolling. And you can do this too. Try open ended questions like, what's been tough for you lately? Or how can I support you? Show them that your love is unconditional and keep the door open for future conversations, even if the first one or the first several feel awkward. Now let's talk about tools to guide you and your teen on this journey. One resource that I highly recommend is what we are calling the Recovery Toolbox for Teens. And this is available on our website at www.therapyassociates.net. And this is a program that includes our updated 2025 version of the Breaking Free workbook, together with the Breaking Free Parent Guide workbook. These two books are designed to work together as a team. It's packed with practical tools, structured assignments, progress tracking, questionnaires, discussions, and prompts to spark meaningful conversations. What makes it so effective is that it is the foundation that we are building our entire treatment program around, which over the years we have identified 10 core concepts that we believe are vital in overcoming pornography addiction. And these workbooks guide you through these steps, helping you to understand the addictive process, helping you and your teen to set achievable goals, build healthier habits. It includes pre and post treatment questionnaires to measure progress and reflection prompts for parents, like asking your teen, what's one thing that you would love to spend more time doing instead of being online? These questions can lead to important breakthroughs. And the third part of the recovery workbook for teens is another fantastic resource that we have just developed this year called 101 Tips for Quitting Porn, which is a companion guide with bite-sized strategies like creating tech-free zones at home, practicing mindfulness that complement the workbook's deeper work. And the three of those workbooks, Breaking Free for Teens, Parent Guide, and the 101 Tips, are what make up the Recovery Toolbox for Teens. Let me share a story about Mark, a dad who used the Recovery Toolbox with his son Liam. He was hesitant at first, was worried about embarrassing his son, but the workbook gave them structure. They tackled one concept per week, used the discussion prompts, shared their current emotional state, and were able to set one goal for what they would want to accomplish throughout the month. Over time, Liam started to open up about his anxiety, which had been fueling his online pornography habits. And the communication between Mark and his son began to occur on a deeper level, which had been previously absent. Mark said that the workbooks gave them a shared language to navigate the challenge without judgment. And that's the power of having the right tools. And we believe that this can happen with what we refer to as a parent-led intervention, which means that you as the parent take the lead at home before you seek out professional help. And that would be in situations where your teen is willing to let you take the lead and is willing to communicate openly with you about the issue. Overcoming pornography addiction isn't just about stopping a behavior. It's about helping your teen to build a life filled with purpose and connection. And this is the key to beating addiction, which is creating a life that becomes more fulfilling than what short-lived temporary pleasure and escape provides from pornography. And one of the best ways to do this is by encouraging positive outlets. Think about what it is that lights your teen up. Maybe it's sports like running, basketball, swimming, weight training, creative pursuits like music or art, or even volunteering in the community. All of these activities boost confidence, provide a sense of accomplishment, and replace unhealthy habits with meaningful ones. For example, I worked with a family whose son, and we'll call him Ethan, loved sports, but had stopped playing to spend hours online gaming, which eventually led into pornography use and the development of an addiction. His parents encouraged him to get back into sports and to join local teams, and he was somewhat hesitant to do so, but they continued to encourage. And over time, Ethan found his niche in running and joined the high school cross country team, which then gave him connection to peers and a pride that he had been missing. It wasn't an overnight fix, but it really was a game changer. And with time and effort, he has learned to fill his life with things that are more fulfilling than seeking out pornography. You can help your teen explore new passions too, whether it be a coding class or a photography workshop or a mentorship program. The key is to help them rediscover what makes them feel alive. And don't estimate the power of modeling healthy habits yourself. Try things like tech-free family time, replace it with board games or hikes or cooking together, striving to do healthy and clean eating as a family. All of these things show your teen that life offline can be rich and rewarding. Now, sometimes professional support is the next step, particularly if your parent-led interventions have not been successful, or if your teen's addiction is impacting their mental health, relationships, or their ability to engage in a parent-led intervention by you, then you will probably want to consider a counselor or a therapist who specializes in adolescent addiction issues and ideally pornography addiction issues. This can be challenging because not all therapists share our conceptualization of pornography use as pathological and in need of intervention. Shopping around for the right therapist is essential. Some will view it as developmentally normal and will not share the same level of concern that you do or that we do. If you can find one in your area, ask them if they're willing to use the Recovery Toolbox for Teens to guide the therapy. And at Therapy Associates in St. George, Utah, we have a team of clinicians trained to address these issues, and we are happy to work with you. You can start with in-person sessions in St. George, travel to our office, and then if you're out of state, then we can continue to facilitate the work via video conference with periodic in-person visits back to St. George. And as mentioned, we can also provide the Recovery Toolbox to local therapists in your area to guide the treatment. Family therapy can strengthen communication and help you as a parent set clear boundaries for technology use. Recovery groups like our online Zoom group, which happens every Tuesday at 4 p.m., offer teens a supportive community of peers. Face-to-face groups are ideal, but finding groups for teens of this nature can be challenging, which makes our online recovery group a good option if you are unable to find a teen recovery group in your area, and makes a great supplement to individual therapy sessions. Now, in more serious cases where the addiction has moved into a realm of sexual acting out, risky online behaviors, sending explicit images, or into severe emotional struggles like a major depression, self-harm, suicidality, a more intensive intervention is probably needed. Or if your teen is uncooperative, shows no motivation to change, is unwilling to participate in outpatient therapy, disregards your rules for technology, and essentially you have lost any influence as a parent, then a more intensive intervention such as our Star Guides program is probably the direction that you should consider. Star Guides is more or less about a 4-month intensive residential outdoor program that provides a completely unplugged experience for teens to help disrupt the addiction cycle and to help them build coping skills as they learn to manage the demands of living in a wilderness setting without any of the amenities of modern living, which they have taken for granted. And this combined with intensive individual, group, and family therapies. Since 2013, Guides has helped more than 700 teens break free from pornography addiction and is what we believe to be the most impactful and an effective intervention anywhere for disrupting a pornography addiction. Check out the website, www.starguides.net, to learn more about Star Guides. And we'll cover Star Guides in a future episode as well. Let's wrap up with a clear plan of action. First, start the conversation. Use empathetic, non-judgmental language to build trust. Next, set boundaries, limit unsupervised screen time with parental controls, apps, and frame it as support for their well-being, not as a punishment. Begin using the Recovery Toolbox and work through it together to create a structure and connection for learning to manage the addiction. Encourage positive outlets. Help your teen find activities that spark joy and purpose in their life. And seek professional support if your parent-led intervention is not effective or if the issues are more severe and intense than what you can manage on your own. Explore our outpatient therapy resources at the www.therapyassociates.net website, including the recovery group. Or if more intensive intervention is needed, then look at the Star Guides website, www.starguides.net. Parents, this journey, it isn't easy, and setbacks will probably happen, but that's okay. What matters is that you're showing up, that you're providing your love, your patience, and consistency. You've got this. If this episode has resonated, share it with other parents, subscribe to the podcast, check out our YouTube channel and our blog for more tips for parents. Let's navigate this together, one step at a time. Until next time, keep showing up for your teen.